Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Hockey. We have returned TITTH number 184. I'm your host, Justin Bruni, but I've got Mike here with me from the Chicago Tomahawk podcast. Happy Wednesday, Mike. Happy hump day. How are we doing, sir?
Doing good, man. How are you doing?
Doing well. Excited that hockey is back. What did you think of our return last night? It was kind of up and down between those two matchups.
Yeah, it was. I was really expecting a lot more out of Tampa Bay, but thinking back to all of the the Hawks 3 Stanley Cups that they've had every time they came back, it was just a completely forgettable night other than raising the banner. But I look for them to bounce back, man, and have a good year. I was really surprised that Pittsburgh was so ready to go, considering Sidney Crosby is such a big part of that team, and I was wondering how they would do without him and Malkin, to be honest with you, and they played really well. I was also really surprised with the Kraken too. It would have been really easy for them to kind of just go into the maybe go back into a shell or something and wait for that game to finish, but they didn't. They came back. Their only problem was I think they couldn't finish the game off. They scored a goal, tied it up, and then right back, they came back and tied it up, the Golden Knights. But at the same time, I think that was a really bad call by the officiating because, I forgot who it was, man, but he was stopping and the puck was coming, and he made a deliberate motion to kick it towards the net.
Oh, that last goal. Yeah.
They called it a good goal, and I thought that was a garbage call.
Yeah, I didn't know where you're going with that, but to that goal call, I thought it was a little bit iffy, especially now with all the regulation that we have. They go to Toronto, they go to the review, they kind of make a spectacle out of it, like other sports. Yeah. So I was kind of I thought that was interesting that they called that, or they called it a good goal as well. I thought, man, that Jonathan Marchessault goal, that was awesome. He was looking like Pavel Datsyuk out there. Vegas came out. They were on their horse, man. They were ready to go, but they couldn't close it down. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Go Kraken. Right. They just stuck to the game plan, kept getting pucks to the net, and they were just getting, honestly, just some easy second looks, Right. A couple of those, the first 2 goals were just easy tap-ins off a rebound. So, keep it simple, getting in pucks to the net. And we definitely underestimated the underdogs last night. I had the Kraken covering, but I had it parlayed with Tampa covering. Like, I felt like that matchup up against Pittsburgh was just like too good to stay away from. And they were giving me plus money on the cover for Tampa. Like, I could not stay away from that. You look at the roster, you see all the holes that Pittsburgh had, obviously missing Sid, missing Malkin. Like, I just did not understand that whatsoever. It was pretty aggravating watching the beginning of that game. Banner night, maybe that plays a role. I'm not so sure, but it wasn't appetizing as a viewer, someone that was laying a lot of money on Tampa. Not very appetizing. But let's jump into tonight. We got some hockey already going. We got Canadiens and Maple Leafs. I got the Capitals and the Rangers on right now. Looks like we got some early penalties for the Capitals playing at home. Pretty good game. Each team has about a shot or so just starting here. Excited to have hockey back on TNT. Did you see any of the pre-show with Biz and Gretzky, and I think they had like Charles Barkley on there?
I didn't. I was on dad duty. I didn't get a chance to do that. But the TV's mine for the rest of the night.
Nice. Good call. Yeah, they had Barkley putting on goalie equipment. I've never known another sport that we have to like mock ourselves so much just to get publicity, but you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, they had Gretzky looking like he was about to take some shots on Barkley with some minor goalie equipment on. It was kind of funny.
I really like what they're doing.
Yeah, it's similar to the NBA, and I like how they're marketing those guys. I like the panel that they have. I know they have Anson Carter, Paul Bissonnette, Gretzky's on there. They were chirping each other. Carter and Gretzky were chirping each other. That was pretty cool. So interesting to see what's going to come of that.
Could you imagine being there and chirping Wayne Gretzky? And Wayne Gretzky being like, "I'm Wayne Gretzky. I don't even need to. I don't need to say anything." I have an
elephant memory, right? Wayne Gretzky. Like, is that something that you want to do? He was giving him a hard time for his sweater vest.
Oh, really?
Sweater vest. He was the only guy up there wearing a sweater vest, and he's like, I remember, when I coached college hockey.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. Let's jump into some of our best bets and props for tonight. Myself, some low hanging numbers. I'm attacking my Blackhawks for sure. Like, I'm ready for the Hawks to be back. Very excited for them this year. So literally, like, all of my props tonight are all on Blackhawks. Easiest ones I think to hit are Kirby Dach and Philip Kurashev, both to have at least 2 shots. Both players are getting plus money for that prop. So really excited for that third line or second line, whatever you want to call it. When Colleton released the lineup, he had him as a second line. It's definitely more of a third with Dach, Borgstrom, and Brandon Hagel.
Right.
What do you think about those? And do you have anything else that you're looking at?
I love the third line with Brandon Hagel. I honestly think that that's actually a very responsible line that could possibly really create some offense, because they're all 3 guys are defensively responsible, and they can, with Hagel's speed, they could really turn it around and take it into the offensive zone. And with Kirby Dach's creativity, him and Hagel, I believe can really put up some chances. I think that, honestly, man, I think that they could put up 4 shots. I think Hagel could have 4 shots tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Borgstrom too could as well. They should have a little bit of an easier time. I know that Colorado is going to be missing Nathan McKinnon. That's a big hole in the middle of the lineup. And they're also going to be missing Devin Toews as well. So going to be a little bit more opportunity for those back end guys for the Hawks. Any props that you're looking at tonight, though?
No, I don't got anything that I'm really looking at. But I will say that without Grubauer, I think that they are definitely susceptible to possibly more shots going in.
Yeah, absolutely. Darcy Kemper, though, I saw it's like an Instagram post. He's 3rd right now for projected votes for the Vezina. It's kind of a lofty projection there, I'd say. I mean, it's not Marc-Andre Fleury. You're trying to say everything in front of Marc-Andre Fleury last year was, that's why you won the Vezina? I don't think so. So I don't know. Fleury was much farther down on the list, the reigning champ, or the reigning best goalie in the league. So we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, I think there's a little bit more opportunity going up against Colorado tonight. I like the over in that game. We'll get to that here in a little bit. I know we're still waiting on Christopher Robin, our DFS specialist. He's going to be jumping in here soon, maybe in a couple of minutes here. But let's jump over to our Monkey Knife Fight props. So we got a couple of stacks here that we're going to run through for the night. If you want, you can jump on monkeyknifefight.com, use our promo code to the Hizzy. They'll double your deposit up to $50. First prop up, we got goalie matchups. We got Thatcher Demco versus Mike Smith. The over-under for Demco saves is 28.5, and Mike Smith is at 24.5. Right away, I really like the over for both of these. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities in this game. It's got a 6.5 goal total here, so I think there's going to be a lot of projected scoring. And majority of the money is coming in on the over. I think it's about 75%. I feel like that's not the correct number. 54%. Sorry, 54% coming in on the over. Maybe not everyone else is settled in the public, but I really like the over. What do you think about these props?
I'll tell you what, man. I think that Mike Smith is on a mission, because I think that he's heard what's been said about him, in the, in the press, and I think that he's looking to prove everybody wrong. Getting Edmonton to the playoffs, and then try to take him for a deep run. I'd probably put him at 25, to be honest with you.
Okay, hitting the over there. What do you think about Demco?
Same.
Yeah, I think they're both going to go to the over here. So in the last 10 meetings between these two teams, the Canucks have averaged 31 shots, the Oilers 34. So even more upside to go over the top of these numbers here. Next prop, we have Blake Wheeler versus Adam Henrique, and we're looking at fantasy points. So over under 4.5 fantasy points for Blake Wheeler, and over under 3.5 for Adam Henrique.
Blake Wheeler, I'm wondering, he's kind of just disappeared, to be honest with you, over the past couple of years. And I thought that he was actually a pretty decent fantasy producer. I would probably say maybe 5 years ago. I think that he's looking to have a bounce back year, man. I think Winnipeg is strong, and I think that he has an opportunity to maybe even take it to 5 fantasy points, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like him to go to the over here. You're getting 3 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist, 1 point for shots on net, and there is no penalty if you're on the ice when you're scored on with Monkey Knife Fight. So he's a point per game player from last season, 46 points in 50 games. I think he can hit the over there. What do you think about Adam Henrique?
Adam Henrique, I'm not really. I don't see him really doing too much, man. Anaheim's I think that they're in a bad spot. If you look at the Pacific Division in general, it's going to be like, like two blind mice fighting each other. It's just not looking good. I don't see really a lot of point production coming out of Anaheim unless it's Trevor Zegras.
Well, he's playing on the top line with Zegras. He's playing as a winger on the top line, and he is centering the second power play unit, and he's getting penalty killing time. So I am going to go to the over here. I think he gets enough blocks and shots at least, because where's the offense going to come from? You know what I mean? Like, he's still got a lot of experience. He's a guy that can do some damage shorthanded as well. Like, he's a guy that has a good amount of shorthanded goals for a journeyman like himself. So yeah, I think he can go over the top. I think it's just a too low a number, and they're trying to like really reel us in because if you were looking at the board tonight of games and you were trying to pick the game with the least amount of scoring, this game would probably be a high percentage to hit that bet, right? So I think that's really what they're just trying to take advantage with us there. I'm going to go with the over. You still, like I said, you get the block shot points, the shots on goal. Maybe he gets an assist or a goal, probably not, but I think he can do enough, or at least play enough or be on the ice enough to go over that number.
You wonder if he could have the what's his name, Dylan Strome bug, where he plays on a line with DeBrincat and Kane, but he doesn't really get to benefit. I mean, he did one year, but after that, I mean, he didn't get to benefit that much,
No, he didn't. But that's kind of been the MO for Kane and DeBrincat. They're always trying to like bring up that young center in there, like that, whether it's a speedy guy or the next, small guy that's really quick. I don't know. They got Tyler Johnson on there right now. I think he's an upgrade from Strome, but we'll get to that here in a bit.
Okay.
Last one up here we have for Monkey Knife Fight. First one, very interesting prop. Connor Murphy versus Mikko Rantanen for total shots on goal plus blocks.
Wow.
They're completely flipped if you look at the numbers. So I totaled these up from last year. Mikko Rantanen had 177 shots and 20 blocks. So across his games, that equates to 3.78 shots and blocks per game. Connor Murphy, if you total up the same numbers, actually has a higher total because of all the blocks that he has. He's getting like 123 blocks with 78 shots. So it's completely reversed.
Right.
In this prop, Mikko Rantanen is getting a 0.5 bonus. I think I'm going to go with Rantanen just because he gets so many shots on net. Like that's the highest number of the four totals that you're looking at right there.
Yeah, unless Connor Murphy goes into Nicholas Jarmelson mode, then I don't see him making that up.
No, I don't see it either. But I thought it was really clever. I was like, why are they putting these two players together? I want to look at some of the math on this, and it plays out where Connor Murphy had, I think it was 4.01 of the total across his games played. I was like, man, they have this really close. If you give Rantanen the bonus, he's over by like 0.30 or something like that. I was like, all right, Monkey Knife Fight. They're getting into the math. Cool.
Hey man, they hashed that out.
they did. They figured that out. This one is paired with Marc-Andre Fleury versus Darcy Kemper for total saves. Kemper has a 4.5 save bonus. Which way are you going?
You know what? I'd have to go over. I think that the Hawks are going to show up tonight, man, and put some shots on net. So
we're gonna take Kemper then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kemper's still the best pick because I think that both teams will have a pretty even amount of shots. Like both teams will be between like 38 or 28 and 32, somewhere in that range. Yeah. So I'll go with Kemper with the bonus. Like you're practically getting 5 extra saves. It's kind of hard to turn down here.
Right.
All right, let's jump into our game previews. We are going to be previewing the games that have obviously not started yet, the 8:00 games or later. If you guys haven't, please be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on youtube.com/take it to the Hizzy. First up here, we do have the Canucks and the Oilers. Canucks come in as road dogs, plus 1.5 on the spread on the puck line now. And we're looking at plus 178 on the money line. I'm sorry, 171 on the money line. Over under is at 6.5 goals. Right away, I really like the over 6.5. The under is actually paying plus money at plus 113. I don't want to try to fall in that trap again because I took plus money for the Tampa to cover last night. So I'm going to stick with the minus 125 on the over. I like a lot of offense in this game. I've got a lot of Oilers in my DFS lineup. Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, the easy ones, right? But I've also got Darnell Nurse and Duncan Keith as well. Number 2, let's go. But what do you think about this game? Like the public is heavily on the Oilers. 87% of the money line is coming in on Edmonton. Do you like the Canucks to cover? maybe play spoiler in the first game of the year? What do you think about this one?
I think that they might play spoiler, man. The Canucks are kind of in a bit of a, they're like a 50-50 for me. They could be over that 50% mark of being one of the better teams, or they could be under, depending on how well they play. With Peterson and Quinn Hughes, not Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes getting their contracts. I bet you that they're psyched, ready to go, ready to play. And they really didn't miss too much of camp. They were skating with Brady Tkachuk in Michigan with, I believe, Quinn's dad running workouts. So they weren't missing any fitness. They got in there, got into camp. And I think that they're looking to really take it to the next level. I think that the weakness on Edmonton is Mike Smith. You don't know who's going to show up. Some days he could be good enough. Then again, you've got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl doing their around the country show. They could put up 6 points between those two guys, So especially with Leon Draisaitl's playmaking ability, which I think isn't really heralded as much as it should. But you never know, man. They could walk out of there 7-2, keeping the puck in the offensive zone the whole night.
So these teams faced off to start last season, and Vancouver won 5-2. So we went to the over at least. But Chris is here. Chris is jumping in. How we doing, sir? Detroit Beastie in the house in the Hizzy. Welcome back.
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the link, and here we are. So sorry I'm late. I never like to be late. Mike, it's great to meet you face to face. We had broadcasting together, and here we are. I was I got home, I set up, and I checked my email about 17 times. I'm like, is the link in my email? Is it in the Google Doc? I thought I was blowing it here, but come to find out, we're all blowing it. We're all busy, but here we are. We're good together.
It was me. That's my bad, y'all. That was my bad, y'all. And with that, Capitals are up 2-0 with 10 left in the first on 3 shots.
I know the Rangers fans are not happy about that. A lot of Rangers fans are calling for this to be their Stanley Cup year for some reason.
I don't know about all that.
I'm not seeing it either, guys.
3 shots on goal, 2 goals. Not a great start. A great start. Oh, we might have an offsides here. 1 foot, 2 foot. Oh, that's offsides. That one's coming back. They're gonna have to throw the flag on that one.
I think a lot of thing was made out of the Ryan Reeves and Tom Wilson thing. Game 1, they thought that Reeves was going to maul him, and I don't think anything happened.
No, nothing. They really don't have a lot of physical players, the Rangers, but
right.
We'll get back to this one here once we go back to the live betting later in the show. Chris, we're on our first game going over the Canucks and the Oilers here. We got Canucks looking at road dogs plus 1.5 on the spread on the puck line, plus 171 on the money line, and the over-unders at 6.5. What are you liking here, man?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and it's going to be hard to bet against the Oilers at all season. I mean, game 1, game 80, 82, it's going to be hard to bet against the Edmonton Oilers here. But if there's a team, I look at hockey the same way like football, baseball, or basketball. The first week or two of the season, it's all turmoil, the player props and the averages, and like football, we're at the sweet spot now where finally, in terms of DFS, these players, they'll hit their stride. We know what we can expect. So in terms of the NHL, literally the first 2 weeks, sometimes the first month, it's a crapshoot. So to be honest with you boys, I lay low for the first few weeks of the NHL season. I'll get some stacks and I'll put my ear to the ice. But for the most part, in terms of over-under and puck lines and betting, I steer clear for the first 2 weeks. But that long-winded way to answer your question, Justin, I'm going to go the Oilers here. It looks like they're minus 189 as well. And to be fair, I will take the minus 1.5 goals. I think the Canucks, they win 5-2, something along those lines.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. Vancouver, we were talking about that. They beat the Oilers last year in the first game of the year, 5-2. And then conversely, the Oilers flipped the script in game 2, 5-2 win. So who knows what we're going to get here. They had Koskinen starting last year. They didn't have Mike Smith until about midway through the year. He was, I felt like, kind of a savior for them, or at least an improvement from Mikko Koskinen. I'm going to take the Oilers on the money line, and I like the over 6.5. I really don't want to mess with the spread. I was talking earlier, Chris, before you jumped on, about Tampa Bay blowing my cover last night. I was so pumped that Seattle was able to come back, and I was feeling really good that I made that pick for them to cover. But then to not just hit an easy cover for Tampa over, the Penguins missing everybody. It was just super frustrating. So definitely want to feel out some more of these spreads. I'm going to be staying away from a few. Some I like more than others, but I hear you. We need more of a sample size, and this first couple weeks are going to be a feeling out process.
Absolutely.
Any props that you guys like in these games, or in this game specifically? I'm sorry, I'm looking at Leon, Draisaitl, and McDavid over under 3.5 shots. I like the over for both of those.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're in on that. What do you guys think about the Oilers to make the playoffs? They're a heavy favorite at minus 310.
I think because of the weakness of the Pacific Division that they'll definitely make the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's basically that's set in stone. And if you look at, I believe the odds for them, I'll take it a step further. I'll put money on. I know it's a long ways away, but sometimes the long con bets. I'm all in on the Oilers making the Stanley Cup Finals as well, and maybe winning this whole thing. And right now it looks like it's not very favorable. It looks like on FanDuel it's plus $3,100. So you put $100, you could cash realistically like a little bit over $3,000. So this is the time of year to do it, right? Because as the season dredges on, those kind of favorable odds fade away. So to me, the Oilers are a heavy favorite to win the whole dang thing. So to make the playoffs, absolutely.
Yeah, they're minus 310. There's not a lot of value on that pick right now. Vancouver, conversely, plus 174 to make the playoffs. What do you guys think?
No, I do not have them making the playoffs.
I'm with you. Vancouver they're a great team to stack, but they're more than likely. I love stacking their second line and even their third line, and sometimes sprinkling in a little bit of their power play throughout the season. But to me, that's all the Vancouver Canucks are. They're a day-to-day, daily kind of bet here, long-term. No, and it's a shame. They've always had great collection of skaters, but no, I don't see them making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they vamped up their defense a little bit, and I like Thatcher Demco now being alone there without Holtby. I think he's going to be able to progress a little bit more in his development. But no, not a playoff team for me. Still missing a star or two, a couple of two-way forwards probably. They don't manage their highs and lows. One or two games in a row they're looking good, and then the next they're getting blown out by 4 or 5 goals. They're just not a very consistent club right now. What were you going to say, Mike?
I think the Kings are going to surprise people this year, and I think that they're going to take that. They're going to take that third spot. And because they're taking that third spot, I believe that there's going to be 5 coming out of the Central.
Okay. Hopefully that's one of those is for our Blackhawks. Plus 4,600 last time I looked at their odds.
Wow.
As a Wings fan,
Chris is a Detroit fan.
It's all good, man.
I can't get behind that, so.
It's all good.
No worries. That's why you're here, Chris, to balance everything out. 2 Hawks fans, a Detroit fan. So
it's like we can't even hate each other anymore, man, because we're not in the same division,
Yeah,
exactly.
The rivalry is definitely not what it was. I remember going to the UC and there was nothing but Red Wings red. Just enamored with it.
Now it's all of the, it's kind of like when the guys are young, they're at each other's throats, then they retire, about 15 years pass, they see each other, then they become drinking buddies. That's kind of like what the Wings and the Blackhawks are right now.
Yeah, it's kind of faded away, but I get it. It's fine. And to be fair with you, Justin, the Wings, they travel well. No matter what rink you go to, if the Wings are in town, there's always a good collection of Detroit Red Wings fans. So to be honest with you, you guys are going to crucify me for saying this, but in hockey, I look at Wings the same way folks look at the Yankees in baseball. Everybody wants to be a Yankees fan, no matter where you go. It's Yankee this, Yankee that. I mean, it's to be honest with you, the Wings, they kind of tailed off the last few seasons, but again, they travel well, and there's a lot of fans or transplants, right? A lot of people from Michigan go to Florida, Arizona, California in their golden age, so they take what they've learned with them. The Wings.
Wings look good, man. To be honest with you, I'm not saying that they're gonna do much this year, but Stevie Y's got something cooking up over there, and the fact that they were able to get Nedeljkovic from Carolina, I mean, that absolutely blew me away. And but I could definitely see them being serious contenders in probably 2 to 3 years.
And
I love that upgrade in net.
As a boy, I'm in my late 30s, so I know you don't have to shower me with praise here, but the Wings, when I was a boy and even in high school, they won the Cup in 2002. That was my senior year in high school. I mean, my whole upbringing and all through, high school and a little bit of college, the Wings were dominant. Stanley Cup champions back-to-back, that 25 years in a row making the, Stanley Cup playoff streak, and they've been down and out the last few seasons, but I'm with you, Mike. In Stevie Y we trust, and this guy knows what he's doing. Look what he built in Tampa Bay. And to be honest with you, their last 2 Stanley Cups they won, how much of that would you attribute to Steve Yzerman? I mean, those are the
100%.
That's the fruit of his labor. So to be fair, what a glow. I mean, that's something to put on your resume, although Stevie Y doesn't really need a resume to come back to the Wings. So I'm excited. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he put that team together for practically 10 plus years. It took him to really mold it.
No doubt. I'm just looking forward to the day.
Detroit covers every now and again as well. I love getting them on the +1.5. There's always a good matchup where you can really leverage their talent versus another team. What were you saying?
I'm looking forward to the day where the Detroit Red Wings organization, it's like a free agent destination, right? Remember way back when you're getting Brett Hall, Luke Rowe, I mean, all the free
Brandon
agents.
Shanahan.
Yeah, they wanted to come to
Did they have Paul
Detroit.
Kariya at one point too?
Absolutely. They wanted to build like the Wings were kind of doing that, building like a super team, and then it's kind of fallen off where everybody wants to go to Toronto now. I mean, Toronto's the hot spot, so Buffalo just stays down. I mean, that's never going to be a destination, but I'm looking forward to the day where I remember as a boy, you would, Brett Hall is a free agent, and you would just tell yourself, well, he's not going to go anywhere but here to Detroit. So I'm looking forward to the day where Red Wings in Detroit is a high-end free agent hotspot.
For everybody who's listening, if you look out your window now, you could practically see the fire burning in Buffalo.
Yeah, I really hope the Blackhawks don't get into a point when they're at least with Patrick Kane where they actually have to trade him back there. We've always been giving up all these big name guys over the years. Losing Sharp, the Bufflins. We just lost Keith. I didn't even expect that this offseason. But you know what I mean? Like, all the names just getting floated out. And I don't want to see that happen with Taves and Kane. But if it was going to happen, you would assume Kane would probably go to Buffalo, maybe Taves to Toronto or Montreal, somewhere near home, or even Winnipeg. Wouldn't like to see that. I'm getting to that point where the Stars are trailing out like they did in Detroit. That year that you were mentioning, the super team, that was when I went to a Hawks game. It was their last game of the season against Detroit. And number 1 on ESPN Top 10 showed the dominance of Detroit fans over Blackhawk fans. That was like the number 1 in the top 10 for ESPN that day. It was a slow news day, but I remember it because the Blackhawks won in overtime. And it was cool. It was a great game because it was like, we beat the super team, but it was like, they're the first seed in the playoffs,
Yeah. Getting ready to get our teeth kicked in. I remember watching them, man. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I absolutely hated the Detroit back in the day, but I was a Sergei Fedorov fan. I had his jersey, and I don't wear other players' jersey. He was so awesome, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all those guys, Nick Lindstrom, Dominic Hasek. Dominic Hasek, he lost a couple Stanley Cup playoffs with Chicago, and then we gave him up for nothing.
Right.
For a bag of peanuts.
We had, Eddie the Eagle at the time, it's like, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? You got Eddie Belfour and Dominic Hasek.
As a child, I played a lot of ice hockey and roller hockey as a boy growing up in the city and east side of Detroit here, and I always wanted to be either Felix Pot. You kids are playing, and you're like, well, who are you? I either wanted to be Ed Belfour or Felix Potvin. So Belfour, I got a stack of like old insert cards of Eddie Belfour. He's still kind of my favorite.
Nice.
I forgot who it was. You could find it on YouTube of Eddie Belfour. He was someone was trying to screen him, and he just took his stick, man. He was just like he was hacking away at a tree, and I'm like, man, you can't do that these days.
Where do you think Brodeur learned it from?
Yeah, no kidding. No wonder Avery's standing in front of him, doing his distraction thing. That was so awesome.
Exactly. All right, well, let's keep it moving here. We got a couple more games to go. A little sidetrack there.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I know. Chris was just trying to hold off the Blackhawks preview. He's trying to hold off some of this hype. So we got the Blackhawks coming in as road dogs, +1.5 on the puck line, +164 on the money line. Over under for this game is at 6 goals. Public has 69% on Colorado for the money line and 78% on the over. I do like the over, but I don't really want to pick a money line here. I'm going Chicago to cover the 1.5. A lot of offense, a lot of upgrades. I know we're missing a couple of pieces tonight. Going to be missing Caleb Jones and who's the other one, Mike?
Wyatt Kalynuk.
Yeah, we kind of knew he was going to be missing anyways, though. So you got Ian Mitchell, Riley Stillman on that third line for defense. Could be a couple issues, but Colorado also missing a few players. Nathan McKinnon, Devin Taves as well. What do you guys think about this one? My best pick here is the Hawks to cover and the over.
Yeah. I got the Hawks winning this game, man. 4-3.
That's what I was going to say, because if you look at the live betting action right now, it'll blink. A red square will pop up, and right now the most popular bet is taking Chicago plus 150. So that tells you something. I'm with you too, Justin. The over, I just can't get a pulse on this game from an over under. But if it's 4-3, as Mike said, then obviously over, because it's sitting at 6.5 goals in here. So give me the Blackhawks plus 1.5, and give me the Blackhawks in the money line plus 150. A little bit of money to be made there.
Is Nathan MacKinnon being out of the lineup just that big a factor?
No, I think it's a mix of I think it's just an upgraded Blackhawks team. I know that guys are like, oh yeah, we're gonna walk over these dudes, but I think the Blackhawks are, especially from playing in a tough division last year. I mean, they're playing Tampa, they're playing Carolina, they're playing Florida. Nashville came out of nowhere in the second half of the season and were juggernauts and stormed into the playoffs right at the end. They're playing all these teams week after week after week. They're like, yeah, Chicago sucked. It's like sucked. They played 4 playoff teams practically, for 5 months. So I don't think that the Blackhawks were as bad as what their record would say. If they were playing in the Pacific Division, 100% that they would have made the playoffs. So yeah, I've got the Hawks coming in big here. Grubauer isn't going to be able to bail out Colorado this year. And but I'm not saying Colorado is going to be a pushover. I mean, Colorado's a juggernaut. I'm just saying the Blackhawks are a better team this year, and they've got a lot of things that they fixed in the offseason coming into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting Jonathan Taves back is huge. Getting an upgrade with Seth Jones on defense is great. Did not love, again, seeing Duncan Keith head out, but still for the best. He could log a ton of minutes, but at the end of the day, he was, a few steps slower than what we're used to, or at least what we've been paying for. Would like to see Caleb Jones in the lineup as well. Would like to see both of those guys in there, but I still think we're going to get a little bit of extra offense from our point. Jones likes to take a lot of shots on net, and then you got Taves plugging back into the middle of the lineup. You got Tyler Johnson plugging into this lineup. I think there's a lot to like here. I also have an anytime point for Jonathan Taves. I have Philip Kurashev with at least 2 shots. I have Kirby Dach with at least 2 shots. I love all the props in this game. What did I have here?
That's what I was going to say, Justin. I have Kirby Dach for an anytime goal, which is plus 400. Nice. So if you parlay that with the money line, $10 would get you like 70.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those goal props are awesome. If you can hit somebody, especially like a back end guy, like a third or second line guy, your odds are going to be great. Paired with a win, you're going to be taking home a lot of cash. I had the first period result for this one because I do think that setting the tone is going to be important in this matchup. So Chicago plus 240 for the first period, Avs plus 126, tie plus 196. Sounds like we're all in on some scoring in this one. Who's going to take home the first period?
Avs.
Okay.
Plus I'm going to say Chicago. I'm going to go Chicago. Yeah. I like that bet, Justin, because as you said, it's about setting the tone. And as I said at the beginning of the broadcast here, Colorado is by all intents and purposes a stud team. They should make the playoffs, do some kind of playoff run. So the first few weeks of the season, a revamped kind of Chicago Blackhawks team in general, they might not be able to compete later in the season, let's say. But right now, the first week or two, it's anybody's game. There's a clean slate across the board. So, yeah, I love the idea of Chicago really setting the tone and handling this first period.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that earlier, about like the Kraken coming out playing very well as an underdog. Same thing with the Penguins without Malkin, without Sidney. So could see something similar tonight where Colorado, they're not playing for the cup tonight. They know they're probably going to the playoffs. They have the talent. They don't need to kill themselves on opening night, which leads me to my next question is, what are your expectations for these two teams for the year? The Avs to make the playoffs, minus 3,500. Wow. Even in that division, it's not an easy division.
Yeah.
That's definitely crazy. I mean, I think we all expect them to make the playoffs. Do we like a deep run from them? Do we still like them as much as last year?
Second round bow out.
I think they
got. Okay.
I think they have. They got a little bit more in them. We've been talking about. Well, I have, and the industry in general. If you're a hockey fan, everybody's. It seems like the Colorado Avalanche with McKinnon and these other Mikko Rantanen and all these guys. They've been like the chosen team for it sounds like 4 or 5 years, and they haven't really done much. So one of these years they have to break through and get over that playoff hump here. So I like the Colorado Avalanche to make a run. Maybe Western Conference Finals, and we'll see what we get.
It's funny that you mentioned that. The same could be said for Vegas. Ever since they came in, nobody was really expecting them. They made a huge impression, and every year they're like, Vegas, they're going to win it. They're going to win it. And it's gone on year after year after year, and they haven't done it.
Well, talk about setting a tone. They made the Stanley Cup Finals their first season ever in history. So that's a very high bar to set in year one. But I'm with you.
No, I agree as well. I had much better expectations, or higher expectations, I should say, for Vegas last year. I think they were my pick to win it last year when we got into the playoff pools and whatnot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were going for Vegas and Colorado.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
want to see
two of the top teams in the regular season.
I want to see the Islanders win a cup. It's just to me that the New York Islanders are like the Cleveland Browns of hockey, right? They've been down, haven't done much. They a little bit of stuff in the 70s and the 80s, but they've been down for 20 years. And then look, the Islanders have looked great the last 2 seasons. I mean, obviously they lost, late in the playoffs last year, but I think hopefully something clicks and they can get a cup here.
I'm a big Anders Lee guy, so I love the Islanders. I'm all about them making a deep run.
I love stacking the Islanders throughout the season, but I know we're talking about opening night. But as the season progresses, and if you have me back more often to talk hockey, this thing's going to get fun, especially with my DFS stacks, Justin. You know the graphics. I mean, I live and breathe for DFS and hockey.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump into this last game. We got Winnipeg traveling to Anaheim. We got Winnipeg road favorites, -1.5 on the spread, -139 on the money line. Over under is at 5.5. Let's see, where was the public on this one? They were at, I think it was pretty high on the under.
Yeah, under's -124. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're on the over, 75%. I still like the under in this one. I don't expect a lot of scoring. I like a 4-1 game out of Winnipeg. 91% of the money is coming in on Winnipeg on the money line. I don't really love the public, but I think I'll ride with that. I'll take the -1.5 on the spread, and I'll take the under 5.5 goals. I don't see a ton of scoring in this one. What do you guys think?
Same thing. I don't see a lot of scoring, and I don't see Anaheim doing much tonight. Not against Winnipeg.
I mean, to make that 3 of us, I don't think at this moment in time there's going to be a ton of goal scoring, but long term, just for anybody that's watching now or will watch this, Winnipeg is definitely on my radar this season of like a presumptive favorite stacks of DFS purposes throughout the season. A lot of overs, a lot of stacks, a lot of power play goals. So for this one, opening night, some of these guys, their legs are a little tight. They're kind of like cement, just playing, a real life full speed hockey game, but give me the under. And I love what you said, Justin, with taking Winnipeg -1.5 here. I do believe they win. Maybe they shut them out 3-0, something along those lines.
Yeah, 4-1, 3-0. I'm right
somewhere
there
along those lines.
Yeah.
What do we think? What do we think about Winnipeg season long to make the playoffs? We're looking at -152. The no is at +118.
Oh man, a lot of people favor Winnipeg. I don't know. I don't know about this team, dude, to be honest with you.
They're kind of vanilla.
They are.
You look at the lineup and nothing really like jumps out at you. Like Connor Hellebuck, he's had some nice seasons. I like him, but like is he a 1A goalie? Like is he an elite goalie in this league? I don't know. I can't tell you. I feel like they're waiting for Pierre-Luc Dubois to be something that he may never be. They traded for him. They gave up Patrick Laine. I thought that was kind of a lopsided trade. Like I don't think that was even. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if Luc Dubois is going to be that guy for them. I just don't know. He's kind of a hot and cold character. I like Paul Stastny. I grabbed him tonight to random start in fantasy. Just throw somebody out there. But there's nothing really that blows my hair back.
Yeah, it's funny that Laine and Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. It was like these two organizations had the same exact problem. Their star wants out. And to be honest with you, Laine really went through a bit of a struggle last year trying to. It looked like he just didn't even really want to play. And honestly, man, I think Pierre-Luc Dubois might find that spark again this year, but I don't think it's going to be enough to take him over the top.
That's just hockey in Columbus for you. Everybody wants out.
Wouldn't you living in Ohio?
Yeah. That's why I was so upset with the extension for Seth Jones, is because they weren't going to pay him that money in Columbus.
Yeah.
Like we did not have to give him everything that he wanted.
Right.
We had leverage in that, and we just like, yeah, sure, write yourself a check, pal. Like, here you go.
I mean, we did give them Adam Boquist practically straight up, so it's I thought it was a win.
It's a win for sure. It's like, getting him on the team is great. That's
right.
Fantastic, absolute upgrade. But the contract that they gave him to extend him when he was never going to get anything like that in Columbus was just, we're giving him Taves and Kane money here.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, man. They actually, two things I wanted to bring up. They getting Caleb Jones beforehand. If we would have just had Caleb, I'd have been like, you know what? This guy's pretty good. I was watching him in the preseason. I was pretty surprised. He's not just like I'm a trading chip here so that you guys could score my brother. He's actually pretty good. But I think the money for Seth Jones is actually going to I think it's actually really good. And I'm going to tell you why. Apparently the players owe the ownership. So what they're doing is they're only raising the salary cap $1 million per year for the next, I believe, 4 to 5 years. Okay. After that 4th to 5th year, the cap is going to jump $5 million. So from now to 5 years from now, the cap is going to be $10 million higher. So that's why you have all of these guys like Brady Tkachuk wanting bridge deals at $8 million, because when those deals are over with, they're going to be looking for $12 million, maybe even $14 million, because the cap's going to be $10 million higher. So when that happens, this $9.5 million contract that we're giving to Seth Jones at that time is going to be around the $7 million to $7.5 million mark, which I think is going to be very doable for him.
Well, that does make a lot more sense, and I appreciate that math, because when you look at numbers, sometimes they don't make sense. The way you just explained it made a ton of sense. So I can appreciate that. I'm looking over here to the left at NHL on TNT, and we got the shooting gallery on Charles Barkley over here. They are shooting live pucks at this guy. Like, this is not okay. Like, he doesn't have any padding on except for a blocker and a glove.
Anything for airtime.
That's what I'm saying. I was telling Mike that before. I was like, I don't know any other sport that has to mock itself so much just to get publicity. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I got Gretzky over here picking corners on Barkley with live pucks.
The game just sells itself. Just sit down and watch. Here, I'll explain it to you. He can't go over the line before this other guy. That's offsides. We don't have 2-line passing anymore, so you don't even got to worry about that.
Yeah. That's true.
To be honest with you, I think the NBA is more about all the circus around it, the pregame show, and what these folks will say, Monday morning on their broadcast, right? The Stephen A. Smiths, the Charles Barkleys, they just I think that's the whole point, because NBA, to me, it's not even really in the list of sports that not only do I find popular, but the world. The NBA has dipped drastically from what I've seen, in terms of viewership or just in general. Sure. Fantasy baseball, it's dipped, and what they know is if you look at social media, somebody's always talking about something stupid Stephen A. Smith said, about basketball. He went on this tirade about Kyrie Irving today, and that was at like 10 million views in like 2 hours. So to me, it's the NBA right now, it's all a dog and pony show. Assemble a crew in the beginning of the game, and we'll get some TV on in between, and that's what people actually look for, because NBA, the game goes by in like 5 minutes. Realistically, you only have to watch the last 4 or 5 minutes, right? That's what I think. So to me, it's all about the smoke and mirrors and all the personalities and broadcasters you get in, in pregame stuff.
TNT's gotten great results with that panel that they have on NBA, and I feel like that's what they're trying to do, is they're just trying to replicate that with the NHL. You got Anson Carter, Bissonnette, Gretzky. I'm forgetting the other guy. I know they have someone else on there, but I don't know. He's at the other end, opposite of Gretzky, so he can't be that great. I feel like.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just I think they're just trying to mimic that, just like that whole panel, like that type of premiere night vibe. The same thing that we get from Chuck and Shaq, essentially. Go ahead, Mike.
Demographics is another big thing too, and when you look at basketball, a lot of players are they can be flamboyant, and not flamboyant in in a bad way. They're just like they sell themselves, and then in hockey, guys are just more reserved. It's a team game, so nobody's like, they're not like, hey, I'm the star. You got to pass me the ball so that I could win the game. There aren't any Russell Westbrooks in the.
We got PK Subban, man.
We have
Subban
PK Subban. Yeah.
But even PK Subban, he goes on Saturday Night Live with who was it? Which rapper was that?
Chance the Rapper or something like that?
Yeah, Chance the Rapper, and they just made fun of hockey the whole time.
Oh,
like
okay.
that's what we do. Like we just make fun of our sport and get some publicity from it. Like go do that hockey, like it's hilarious. I loved it as a hockey fan, as a hockey player. I think it's hilarious. It's funny, but we're just constantly come back to making fun of ourselves.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah. It's such a great game, though, and I just think that it needs to be it just needs to be sold to people better, because some people, there's a stigma behind it, like, oh, it's boring, and it's like, well, if you're watching the Devils versus, God forbid, Buffalo, and this is what you're being exposed to,
don't disrespect my Devils like that, right?
As two teams, they're playing the trap, they're just trapping each other all night in the neutral zone,
right.
And it's like this isn't like what a game that I would show to you, because whenever I've taken people to a hockey game, I'm like, hey, you ever been to a game? When I was in the Army, I was like, hey, I had all my buddies coming to town. I'm like, have you guys ever been to a hockey game? They're like, hockey? Who watches hockey? I'm like, dude, you guys got to see this. Take them to a game. They're like, this is unbelievable, man. I'm like, yeah, it's great. And after that, they would always ask, hey, man, I was looking in on the Hawks game the other day. It was on TV, and it's like, yeah, man, hockey's awesome. I think the NHL just needs to sell it better. I think Bettman's grand plan of putting teams all across the United States, because if you really look at it, there are NHL teams absolutely everywhere in all four corners of the United States. That plan is done. It's there. And with a possible, from rumors I've been hearing today, of a move for Arizona to Houston with a possible different ownership. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, but there's hockey everywhere across the United States. Yeah. What they need to do now is grow a viewership for everyone. I mean, it took Tampa and Florida about really 25 years to be really relevant. I mean, I do remember that the Lightning won the Stanley Cup back in, I believe it's 02,
03.
But 02, 03, yeah. And they but what happened after that, So I think that hockey will be growing in the future. It just needs to be sold better by the league to consumers.
No, I absolutely agree. I like the start that they're off to already. I mean, obviously TNT, 100%. ESPN, these platforms, they're going to be super helpful, but we need to, continue to floor them on these platforms. And having games being more readily available. I think you can speak to this, Mike, when we were both younger, when the Blackhawks were terrible,
100%.
We had ownership that wouldn't put them on TV, and just getting games on TV is going to help immensely. It did in the Chicago area, in that market. Once, and honestly, they didn't do it until Rocky Wirtz passed away. Like it was literally like it was all the way up the chain. The dude was like, "Nope, home games, you're coming to the stadium. We're not putting that shit on TV. You watch the away games."
I hated it.
It was just a bad product because of that. And I remember growing up, and people would like pick on me for watching hockey. Blackhawks suck. They're terrible. Why would you watch that? It's a waste of time. Like, well, you can't watch it. Literally, you can't watch it. I'm listening to the game on the radio, going to sleep in the dark. Like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Or you're watching the Wings, because they're always on ESPN too.
Yeah, maybe I was. Maybe I was. Okay. All right. Maybe that was.
I was.
No harm.
I was watching the
Sergey.
Devils. When the Blackhawks were bad when I was a kid, the Devils were the next team. Marty Brodeur's like one of my favorite players. I could go through like all of the players that were on those teams from like 99 to 2006 in a breeze. Those were my guys. But I also didn't have Kane or Taves yet. So
yeah.
I
just started dating my wife when Taves and Kane showed up. I'm like, you know what? You got to watch. I'm like, these guys are going to be a big deal one day.
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong. Chris had mentioned he got the cups when he was like in high school. I got my cups when I was in college, in my first year out of college. I was actually downtown when the Blackhawks won their most recent cup. That was an experience. Let me just say, an experience.
Yeah. I was working downtown, and I was already an adult.
Well, there you go.
I have a quick story for you boys if you want to hear this. And when I'm done, I'll have to find the pictures. I was able to drink out of the Stanley Cup and hold the Stanley Cup. In 2002, I was a senior in high school, as I said, and there was a group of girls right in the city right next door. And we met and hung out all spring and summer. Come to find out, her dad was Al Zabatka, the guy who who swings the octopus. He is the manager of Joe Louis, the arena manager of Joe Louis, and he now works for Little Caesars Arena, still drives the Zamboni. So that was her father. So that whole summer, we're hanging out, having some beers. We're underage, but that's what you do on the water, on the lake there.
100%.
And, everybody, gets the cup for a day in the organization. Yeah. So when Al Zabatka got the cup, he threw a block party really on a really nice side of town. And, since we were in kind of, we were dating and seeing, my group of guy friends and their group of girlfriends. So she said, that we're having a block party, but if you come at like 10:30, we can hang in the backyard with the cup for like an hour before, everybody shows up. So got to hang with the cup and hold it and drink out of it and drink some very nasty vodka out of it. Not proud of that, but but here we are. But it was a fantastic experience. I brought my late father with me, so from start to finish, it was fantastic. I'll have to dig out the photos so you don't think I'm lying here, but it was great. It was great.
You going on a date, son? He's like, no, it's kind of a date, but it's not a date. You can definitely come.
Yeah, but I want you to come with me, Dad.
We don't really call it that these days. We're just kind of hanging out.
Yeah. We're talking.
Stanley,
I'm talking.
We're talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Stanley Cup and chill.
Yeah.
I love it.
What a great story.
No, that's awesome. I've never touched the cup. I've never been in the presence of it. Personally, I find it sacrilegious. I've not earned it. I'm a weird person. I don't want to touch it. I might start getting teary eyed and stuff, like whole life of disappointment coming across my face. Like, what did you do wrong? Why didn't you practice more?
This broadcast, could be considered a disappointment, but I think you would be fine with the Stanley Cup. And to be fair, the Stanley Cup is by far and away the most prestigious championship trophy in the history of the world. I mean, I don't give a crap about gladiators holding lions' heads, and the Stanley Cup is it. It's the hardest championship trophy to win, and it is the most prestigious on this earth. And I have a little. Let me find it right here. I have a little replica I keep with me in front of my computer at all times. I'm not kidding. I got a Detroit Lions pin. I put that in the top because I'm a superstitious man. But to me, the Stanley Cup is the end all be all of sports trophies.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to be a little emotional walking up to that thing. I'm going to stay away.
I got my Taves bobblehead.
There you go. I'm just wearing the jersey. That's all I got.
Taves is about to be a bobblehead, isn't he? Like in his late 30s. How long do you think he's going to be around?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. He was 80% from the dot on his last preseason game, so he hasn't lost much. And to be honest with you, I'm looking for him to be maybe in the next couple years step away from that first line center role and maybe take a third line center role and just shut down teams for the end of his career.
I would. You can see that all over the league happening right now. Look at Corey Perry. Maybe don't watch him last night, but in general, like there's a lot of room for those guys still in the league. Once he runs out of the contract, hopefully he's still a Blackhawk. I want him to be there for his entire career. I don't care what he makes. Just want to see him in the in the white and black and red. But I don't know. 4 years, I think at this level that we see him at now. Yeah. I think coming into last year, he would have had an amazing COVID season had he not become ill. He looked really good prior to last season. He was training with the young boys, Matthews, Marner, McDavid. So he's really tight with that group. With the young guys, it seems like they kind of look up to him, and I think he's really needed on this team, not just as a player, as also as a coach. I'm not a big Jeremy Colleton fan. You can track that on any of my social medias. I don't have nice things to say about the gentleman. Hopefully, we get our essentially our assistant player coach back tonight, and he's healthy.
Yeah,
that's me knocking on wood. Hopefully, he just stays healthy for the rest of the year.
Really quick, you mentioned Corey Perry. Another fun story about Corey Perry playing for Dallas. I put him in a line. I think I stacked Dallas's second line or even power play 1 last season, and he scored a hat trick, and that bumped me up. And so Corey Perry single-handedly is in favor of the $5,000 I won last season on a random Tuesday night or something like that. So shout out to Corey Perry. I mentioned him in my stacks, and it was just a weird occurrence. There was nothing really that was Corey Perry's a good. The guy is
maybe it was the matchup or something.
Yeah, and so I stacked him. The line was doing okay. He hits the hat trick, which I believe is another extra 25 points. In addition to the goals here. So Corey Perry, I'm thankful to him. Put me over the hump to get $5,000 even on FanDuel last year.
Wow.
Absolutely. I'm a Corey Perry guy. I did not like him when he was with the Ducks, and they were the Blackhawks, and then were constantly dueling each other. He was always a problem for us.
Yeah, he was. Kessler.
Yeah, Ryan Kessler. He was definitely a guy that I'd prefer to have on my team than play against. That's for sure. He was a big physical dude in his prime.
Yeah, he was.
Let's actually just jump into some of the live betting here. We're gonna go over some of the live numbers. I know we got the Caps and the Rangers. They're starting the second period. We got the Capitals up 1-0. We'll just jump into that game. So I got Capitals. They're up 1-0 right now. Rangers plus 1.5 is paying minus 179. And the money line is minus 225 for the Capitals with a 1-goal lead. Do you guys think that the Rangers will keep this one within a 1-goal deficit, come back and win? What do you like so far?
I think they lose by 2.
They lose by 2. So Capitals paying at minus 1.5 is paying plus 150. So a little bit of extra value there. What do you think, Chris?
I love the over. The over 5.5 goals here. That's plus 162, and people must be betting it because it keeps popping up, in my feed that I have on my phone. So yeah, give me the safe bet again, since I don't have a pulse on a lot of these teams yet, a gauge. Give me the over 5.5. No harm in following others' leads, right? Don't have to always be breaking DFS news myself. I can listen to other folks.
Yeah, of course. We're looking at plus 170 for the over 5.5. I like that value. But I'm going to stay away. The Rangers can't bury one right now. They're with 9 shots, no goals. Washington is at 6 shots with 1 goal. So there hasn't been a ton of scoring opportunity, at least through the first period. Right now, we've got about 18 minutes left to go in the second. So a good way still. And then last up here before we head out, we have a 1-1 game between the Canadiens and the Maple Leafs. Canadiens maybe, or not the Canadiens, but the Maple Leafs looking for a little bit of revenge from last year's playoffs. Canadiens plus 1.5 on the spread. Wow, minus 333. The Maple Leafs to win by 2 is at plus 250. Not great odds. The money line match right now is Maple Leafs minus 165 and the Canadiens plus 135. The total is also at 5.5 goals. I would take that over. You're already got the 2 goals, and we're sitting at 5.5. What numbers do you guys like here?
Yeah, over big time for sure. And I've always loved the Montreal Canadiens. As a Detroit guy, original 6. I respect the Blackhawks as well. They're lumped into the original 6 here. So Montreal, to be fair, they were their second and third line were some of my favorite value stacks in DFS format. So I followed them big time. I love taking Montreal plus 1.5, and I love the over in this one. I think Montreal sneaks this one out.
Yeah, I think so too. If you liked them last year, man, you're gonna like the Kings this year because they got Daniel and would they get Arvidsson?
Who?
Didn't the Kings get Arvidsson, or is it Cam? Yeah, I think they got Victor Arvidsson, didn't they? The Kings?
I'm not sure.
For the Nashville, Kings, I'm not too sure either.
For the Kings, I'm really in on Byfield, young big center. He just reeks of young Evgeny Malkin to me. That like his prototype, his build, size, speed, and all that. And I'm a huge Cal Peterson guy. Love Cal Peterson.
Yeah, Victor Arvidsson to the Kings. Arvidsson and Daniel. I think that they add a lot to the team, man. And I think that they're going to be that sneaky, maybe playing some of that boring Daryl Sutter Calgary winning 2 games 2-1, type of deals.
2 points is 2 points. No matter
it
how
is,
you
man.
get it.
It is.
What do you think about their goaltending situation? I just mentioned Cal. They still have Jonathan Quick. Should they just, should they kind of transition to like what the Maple Leafs have done and just, ride with their young guy, or should they, keep balancing things out and just, go with hot hands?
I think that they need to see where Quick is, like legitimately. Yeah. Is Quick? Does he still have some of it in the tank, or is he just slowly?
I thought he did from last year.
Slowly declining. I think that he has good games, and then he has some bad games. I think that for him, it's more of a mental thing because he was just solid in his prime, rock solid. I would probably look to see what his workload is like, how his games are, where he's trending, and how they play him or not. But I think that they should start going with the youth movement and using him as a mentor.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. It's hard to get that rhythm going when you're constantly getting checked out of games. You know what I mean? Like when it's like, hey, you had three games in a row, but we're doing this whole back and forth thing. So Cal's up tonight. I know you haven't lost a game in a week, but sorry, that's it.
Right? Yeah, and I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think it's important to ride the hot hand, but to establish roles between the guys. Like, hey, look, you're here to be a mentor now. You're not looking here to be the knight,
Right.
I don't know. You're not here to be the king.
Right.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I got you.
I like that.
Courtney.
I like that. All right, cool.
I think it's kind of different with Fleury and Lankinen. Like with Fleury, Lankinen needs somebody to show him how to be a professional. He came in last year. I predicted it that he was going to be the starting goalie after by Christmas time, and that happened after a week. And he didn't have anybody to show him like how to be a goalie in the league, and also taking on that incredible workload. And it wasn't even a full season. Not to mention being peppered by all those shots with Colliton's terrible defensive system. With Fleury there, he's able to show him like, hey, man, this is how you need to go about things on a day-to-day basis. This is how you handle stuff in the league. And then when Fleury leaves, Lankinen can just take over because he's got the talent to do it. I think he just needs the mentorship.
He had that run last year where we were all just talking rookie of the year. He's amazing. But again, like you alluded to earlier in the show, they just went on that run against all of those high-end playoff teams, teams that are really good at scoring, really solid on defense. So just a tough division. And, kind of back and forth between both of the teams, like the Kings and the Blackhawks, and really just teams in general, like COVID. That was a huge issue last year, right? So I felt like, that situation of constantly rotating the guys in and out, I was like, oh, maybe it kind of works because you want to keep these guys rested. You don't want to overwork them. They're playing, multiple games in very few days, right? So I guess I can see it from that aspect. But this season, I would like to see them give the reins more so to Cal. Obviously, the Hawks, they should keep, Fleury in net as much as possible. But yeah, Lakinen's going to be taking cue from, a pretty much a Hall of Famer versus Malcolm Subban. There's a huge difference there.
Right,
We're filling in a huge gap there.
It's funny. You look at the goaltending in the Central Division, man. I mean, you got Vasilevsky. Last year they had Nedeljkovic. They've got what's his name? The guy, Soros from Nashville. I mean, the guy stood on his head daily in Nashville and practically willed them into the playoffs, himself, and what Lankinen's like, hey man, I was supposed to play in the AHL this year.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how things can just go like that, can switch right on for you. So they had a strong run, not so much down the stretch. I'm still excited for his career and his development, but sit tight, little bud. We got Fleury in that. We're trying to make a run here. So should be a fun season. Yeah. We're gonna head out. I know Chris, you got a hard out time. Mike, I know you got some stuff to get to. We got hockey tonight. We're ready to go. Appreciate you guys coming on the show. Chris, I know you turn me down every single time, but please, if you have something to plug it away. Tell the folks about Bottom of the Barrel. Tell them where they can find you, please.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Detroit Beastie. Bottom of the Barrel is out now, week 6. This looks to be a fantastic football. Tomorrow, video, my Thursday Night Football DFS video, it's already submitted. Should be out bright and early tomorrow morning. And just, I say it on every broadcast I'm on, just treat other people how you'd want to be treated. Everybody's going through some weird thing that the other person doesn't know about. So it's not always about trying to outwit everybody on social media. Take a step back and putting the cotton in your mouth and taking it out of your ears and listening once in a while is not harmful. You don't have to, get in somebody's crap all the time. So be kind, but be competitive, and I'll see you next time.
100%,
sounds good, brother. Everybody,
man.
Be nice to everybody. Mike, you do the same thing, man. Anything that you got to plug, anything you're working on, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find all of your work.
Well, I'm going to double down on Detroit Beastie. It's free not to be an asshole. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Tomahawk Chicago. You can check out my podcast. I usually release them bright and early as well on Tuesdays at 1500 hours, Tuesdays and Fridays. And come hit me up on Twitter. Let's talk some hockey. I love it.
I absolutely love it. Really appreciate you guys coming on. It's always free not to be an asshole. I love that, guys. Appreciate it. Take care. Be well. Everybody be good. And if you can't be good, be good at it. We'll see you later.
Bad, baby.